Let's go for it!
Hey everybody, welcome to the newest video in the dark stuff, number 112. Thanks a lot for checking it out. I've been a busy little boy lately, picking up a lot of stuff. I went through a period where I wasn't getting all that much, but lately I've just been, I don't know, on a buying spree. I guess business has been going good for me in terms of work, doing a lot better than I sort of thought I would at this period. So I'm feeling like the coffers are getting loosened, or whatever the expression is. So I've gotten some decent new stuff. So I'm gonna start off the show right here at the show. I do that. I'm sorry, I mix my radio stuff here, and I always say welcome back to the show. So sorry about that. I'm gonna start off this video showing you a record from a guy named David Nance. This is called More Than Enough. This is brand new on the Bada Bing label. This is an Omaha artist that I have to say I'm embarrassed to admit that I didn't know who it was. And somebody from another city actually turned me on to this artist, even though he lives here in my hometown. And it's a friend of mine from Minneapolis, and he sent me this text one night, which is, I'm going to read from, that was from the marketing materials for this album, the advance release. And it says, Omaha's best kept secret, David Nance, is releasing his first full-length, More Than Enough, on June 3rd. The album is an energetic juggernaut serving up pure rock and roll, a la Heroin era Stones or the Velvet Underground. After scrapping the original recordings from Los Angeles, Nance re-recorded the entire album back in Omaha, resulting in a visceral, kick-ass, home-recorded work of art. You can pre-order the album here, etc. Okay, so that explains a little bit of it. So I was over at Almost Music, the record store today, and I was talking to the guy, and it turns out the owner of that record store is thanked on the back of this album, so obviously he knows the guy. So I was talking to him, and he was originally from Omaha, moved to LA for a couple years, recently moved back to Omaha, and he's just finally starting to play out more. He does have a show coming up at Reverb apparently, so I'm going to check it out. The description is pretty good. I would say, yeah, some 60s era Stones, like maybe late 60s, early into the early 70s. Velvet Underground, sure. I heard a lot of the Dream Syndicate personally when I was listening to it. I heard a lot of Dream Syndicate, maybe a little bit looser, a little more sloppy or so, but anyways, interesting stuff. David Nance. I want to check this dude out live, so I'm going to be doing that shortly. Another cool local band from here in Omaha, this is the See-Through Dresses. I've talked about them a couple times on the show. In fact, one of my podcasts was an interview with these guys. I know them. I've known one of the members of the band for probably like 8 to 10 years or so, but this came out last year. It was supposed to come out last year, and the band sent me a digital copy so I could play it on the radio. And then the vinyl pressing got delayed by a couple of months due to, you know, the backlog at all the pressing plants that everyone is having. It's on the Tiny Engines label, and it's called End of Days. And this band is great. They're very, very 90s influenced, and I think they're great stuff. The album's on black vinyl. It's got a little lyric sheet with the picture of the band on the inside. It's new to me on vinyl, but I've had the record for more than 6 months, so I've listened to it a bunch of times. It's really good stuff. See-Through Dresses. That's probably, you could probably find either one. I think they have a Bandcamp page. If I remember, I'll put a link or something in here. Seek them out. That's another band that I'm strongly recommending. They tour a lot, and they're active. David Nance, I'm not sure what his agenda is, but it's obviously not doing much local play because I've never seen the guy. But anyways, side note. So I was at Half Price Books the other day, and I picked up the new record. This is Case-Lang-Veirs. Now this is a new collaboration between, or among, okay, there's Neko Case, there's K.D. Lang, and there's Veers. Now I am, as I've said on many videos before, a huge Neko Case fan. I have her entire catalog, and I love it. She's fantastic. One of the best voices in music of all time. Completely unfiltered. She doesn't put any effects on it. It's just pure perfection. So she's doing this collaboration with K.D. Lang, who I'm pretty familiar with. She's been around since the 80s. There was a period in the 90s where I thought her song Constant Craving was pretty cool. But I'm just going to claim ignorance on most of her stuff. It's just not my scene, and I don't know that much about it, but it may be good. She's good on this record, that's for sure. And then Veers, I really don't know who that is at all. I gotta say, claim total ignorance on it. However, some of the songs that she wrote are like the best ones on here. So, like this one, was it Song for Judy? Yeah, Song for Judy, I think was one of the best ones. Anyways, they all trade off singing lead, they harmonize with each other. It's really, really good. It's for fans of sort of the alt folk kind of stuff. If you like older school country, if you just like, you know, female voices singing very, very well, singing some pretty intense songs. Atomic Number, I believe, is the first single.
I'm not the freckled man. I'm not the fair hair girl. I'm not a pan of milk for you to spoil. While the wholesome things, the ones we make obscene.
So anyways, it's really solid. I sort of got it because, yeah, it's like I like Neko Case, so I'm going to try it out. And I was pleasantly surprised at how much I liked it, even though I'm not really a fan of K.D. Lang, and I don't even really know who this Veers person is. I mean, chances are, after filming this video, I'm going to discover that I have her in some band or whatever, and I'm just completely blanking on who she is. But for now, I'm sticking to my story that I don't know who she is. But I like her, and I want to find out what her story is. Okay. Also there, while I was at Half Price Books, I picked up this cool bootleg live album from Pavement, Uptown Bar in Minneapolis, live 1992. I went ahead and took the record out. It's got little custom labels on it, and the back cover is super cool. Okay, it's June 11th, 1992 at the Uptown Bar in Minneapolis. Now, I saw Pavement in this period, 91, 92, when they were doing Slanted and Enchanted. And this was just an awesome throwback to that period. It was kind of like a thing when they had their original drummer, and they were a lot looser and more sloppy, and they were playing songs from, you know, the first album. They were playing songs from Slanted and Enchanted, and they were playing songs from what became Watery Domestic. I don't know if it was actually out yet at that point.
So much sense to me. Pretend the table is a trust knot.
Now I'm going to sound like the old guy in the room, but I'm going to tell you a Pavement story from back in that period when I saw them in 1992. Now, this was before the internet, and I know it technically existed, so don't make a comment, but this is before anyone had the internet, and this is before anyone looked at websites and all of this kind of stuff. And Pavement had just put out Slanted and Enchanted on Matador, and it was getting a lot of great reviews, glowing reviews. No pictures of the band. There were no pictures of the band on the inside of the record. So when I went to the show, I was just going totally cold. I had no idea who they were, what they looked like. I only knew from listening to the Slanted and Enchanted album that I really liked it, and I wanted to check these guys out. So I'm at the show, and the opener plays. I don't remember anything about them. And then Pavement comes on the stage, and I'm like looking at them for the first time, and I'm like, whoa, this is exciting, you know. And all of a sudden this guy walks over to me with a pitcher of beer, and he's like, hey man, want some beer? Now, okay, I'm like 20, 21, and Madison is a pretty sort of hippy dippy liberal town where there's a lot of, you know, freaks out there just wanting to give you free beer. But I know better than to just take free beer off a weird dude that just happens to be there. And then I thought, well, you know, this was in this place called Club de Wash, and it was a complex with a bunch of bars. There was just a restaurant where people hang out. There's a gay bar downstairs. There was another bar restaurant, I think, attached to it. And then there was the Club de Wash. So it attracted a ton of different people. And I didn't know what this guy was offering, but I was just like, nah, dude, it's okay. I don't need any beer. And he went and he offered beer to somebody else. But he was just like drinking it out of my pitch, like drinking out of the pitcher. Like, I don't know. Even at 21, I was sketched out on that. So the guy moves on. I just figured it's another Madison freak. Third song in, that dude jumps up on stage and starts hitting a snare drum and everything. It's Bob Nastanovich from the band, who was their sort of percussionist and just sort of wild man on stage, friend of the band. And this was at the time where he was sort of keeping the beat because their actual drummer had an issue with time. And so Nastanovich would keep him in time on most of the songs. And all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, that guy's in Pavement. That was the guy who's trying to offer me the beer. Anyways, those are lost days now, because if you find some band you like, they're on YouTube, they're all over the internet. There's no way you're going to ever have that experience of walking into a show cold, not having any idea what the band looks like, anything about them other than you've heard a couple of tunes. It's a great time, and I don't know, hopefully that story did something for you. So the record, it's pretty solid, I have to say. It's manufactured by a company called DOL, and it says manufactured in Europe, but it has a website called Vinylology at .ru, which means it's from Russia. And I'm sorry, but I will never ever give money to Russia. Not because of it's Russia, but I just don't trust the system over there, okay? So if I will never give my credit card to a Russian website under any circumstances. I don't care what they're offering, what they're selling, it's not happening. Have to get it through an intermediary. So if you're looking for, European pressings or bootlegs or whatever that are coming from Russia, I'm gonna have to buy it from another country. Well, they can get it from Russia, I'll get it from them, because I'm not giving my money over there. I mean, that's just every single internet credit card scam you've ever heard of seems to originate in Russia. I'm not doing it. However, this bootleg is pretty fucking good. Great song selection, sounds pretty cool overall. Happy with it. And back to when I was at Almost Music, I also grabbed this copy of Joe Jackson, Night and Day. Classic album. I've had this for over 30 years. One of the best albums of the early 80s, despite the fact that there's no guitar on it. Okay, the big hit off this one was obviously Steppin' Out, but it was also Breaking Us in Two, and Real Men used to get a lot of airplay on MTV, and it made a lot of people think, I thought at the time, that meant Joe Jackson was gay, because he has that song in the video for Real Men, where it's about two, men being, kind of being secretly gay or whatever, and then he says, and don't call me a faggot, not unless you are a friend.
You don't want to sound dumb, don't want to offend, so don't call me a faggot, not unless you are a friend.
That made me think for years that Joe Jackson was gay, but I guess he's not. I guess he's straight. It was just, singing a song about it. Anyways, fucking great album. My CD sounds like shit. This vinyl sounds so much better. It's like a major improvement. That's all the vinyl that I have for this thing. But I wanted to talk about a couple of CDs. One, this new one that I got from the Julie Ruin. Okay, the new album is called Hit Reset. Just came out. There's the lyrics on the inside. It's on the Hardly Art label. You may be familiar with Julie Ruin. It features two former members of the band Bikini Kill. Kathleen Hanna and I think Kathy Wilcox were both in the band Bikini Kill. I have a long history with that band, or at least with Kathleen Hanna. And when I say I have a long history, it doesn't mean like I've ever met her or anything. I never met her in my entire life. But my history goes back to me being a big fan of female punk rock bands going all the way back to the early 90s. And Bikini Kill was kind of the premier one at that period in the early 90s. They were the signature, riot girl band. They were really aggressive punk rock, very feminist lyrics, very, in your face with topics and stuff like that. And I loved it, okay? From the get-go, I thought Bikini Kill was fucking awesome. And I thought Kathleen Hanna was awesome, and the whole band, and yeah, they were sloppy and all of this, but so what? It was just awesome energy. And I went to see them one time. This is in the mid-90s. I can't remember the exact year, 95, 96 maybe? I'm not sure, don't quote me on that. They played at a co-op, some weird hippie co-op in Madison, Wisconsin, where I was living, on Langdon Street. And Langdon Street is actually the street where all the fraternity houses are. So it was weird that this co-op was right in the middle of Fraternity Row, but that's, I guess, not relevant. So I go to the show, there's like 5 bands. I don't remember anything about the openers other than Fits of Depression was one of the bands. I think they were from the Northern Washington area, and I have some vague memory that I like smoked weed with a guy from Fits of Depression. I want to say that happened. I guess it could have been somebody else, but I'm putting it in that story. Anyways, it finally gets to Bikini Kill. They're the 5th band to go on, and it was just like, holy shit, finally. So anyways, they get on there, and they're playing, and they're great and everything, and they're rocking out. And Kathleen Hanna is known for making some controversial or provocative statements, and she started talking into the crowd about, rape on college campuses and stuff like that. And then she said something to the effect of, and don't think that any of these guys here in this show are any better than anyone out there, because they're here because they just want to rape the cool girls. Okay, I was just like, what? Rape the cool girls? What? I can't be like a fucking progressive dude. I can't be like a feminist or whatever and appreciate your music. I have to be pigeonholed as a fucking rapist because of my gender. I was just so annoyed with that. It was like, how dare you? Fuck you for calling me that. Like, I paid money to see your show. Now the money's not relevant. It was only a couple of bucks. But it's like, I didn't need to be insulted. I mean, I bought the records. I showed up at the show. I felt like, that was completely uncalled for. So I walked out of there being like, well, fuck you, Kathleen Hanna. And I never really cared for Bikini Kill after that for a long time. Bikini Kill broke up shortly thereafter, and she went briefly solo using the name Julie Ruin, and then formed the band La Tigra. You might remember La Tigra. And they did okay. They went for a couple of years. It was kind of dancey. It wasn't as aggressively punk as Bikini Kill had been, still addressing some of the same topics lyrically though. Now by the time La Tigra came out, I was kind of over my little being pissed off at Kathleen Hanna. It was sort of like, that's a stupid statement. I don't know if she was just saying it to be provocative, to be an asshole, to cause controversy, to see what would happen when she says something like that, or even if she was just spouting off and doesn't even remember saying it. I do think it was bullshit, by the way. I mean, pick on all the guys, the jock guys that were out in the fraternity houses all along that street. Maybe they were the guys you should be wary about, and the guys who were paying money to see Bikini Kill in 1995 are probably not your problem. But, hey, side note. Anyways, La Tigra broke up, and then she formed this new band, the Julie Ruin, okay, re-adopting her solo name. This new album is pretty good so far, what I've heard. It's called Hit Reset. It's kind of a combination of Bikini Kill and La Tigra, more on the La Tigra side because it's less aggro and like noisy and stuff. My issue with Kathleen is over. She's cool. I mean, she's married to Ad Rock from the Beastie Boys. She has to have mellowed out somewhat, because she couldn't have married a guy who wrote the song called Girls, which is about girls who are only supposed to be in your bedroom and doing the laundry and cooking for you and whatever. She got past that, so I'm sure if given the opportunity, she would say, maybe I misspoke, maybe I didn't mean it, you can leave me a message, Kathleen, if you feel like apologizing. Anyways, while I was at Half Price Books, I'll close out the video real quick with, I got some used CDs. I got the 30th anniversary edition of Deep Purple Burn with bonus tracks on it. I admit, this is the first time I've ever heard this, because I'm slowly expanding my Deep Purple-ness, and then I'd only kind of liked Mach 2, the Smoke on the Water version. And because I heard David Coverdale first with Whitesnake in the 80s before I knew he'd ever been in Deep Purple, when I hear his voice, the first thing I think of is Whitesnake. And I'm not a huge Whitesnake fan, to be honest. So it's taking some getting used to, but this CD is pretty good, so it's on the right path. Okay, next I picked up this collection called Romeo Void, Warm in Your Coat. This is a sort of best of from Romeo Void. They only had a couple of known songs. I mean, they had Never Say Never is their best known song, and then A Girl in Trouble is a temporary thing. Those are probably their two best known songs. They're a San Francisco new wave-ish band from the early 80s. Now, I love the song Never Say Never. When I found a 12-inch of it, it's fucking excellent. It's one of the best examples of punk rock or new wave from the early 80s in America, I think. The rest of their stuff is pretty marginal. Unfortunately, this version of Never Say Never is not the 12-inch version that I know. It's a different version produced by Neko Case K.D. And it's not awful or anything, but it's just not nearly as good as the 12-inch version. I mean, being produced by Neko Case K.D. is not a bad thing. I mean, he's produced everyone from like Bad Brains to Guided by Voices, so he's a cool producer, but it was just a little bit too slick for me, and I got used to the normal version on that. And asterisk, if you want to hear a great cover of Never Say Never, Queens of the Stone Age does it. It's on the single for the song Feel Good Hit of the Summer. It's fucking brilliant. And last, I picked up Tom Petty's 2006 album, Highway Companion. I'll get any Tom Petty record. He hasn't made a bad album. There's better, there's less better. I mean, it's all. Another good album from Petty. I can just listen to this dude just constantly. Even though Jeff Lynne is the producer, and I don't like Jeff Lynne as a producer, still, very, very good album. Alright, dudes and ladies, although my analytics say that my show is watched by about 85% male and only 15% female. I don't know what I have to do to change those demographics, but I don't know. I'm working on it. So if I say later, dudes, that's because I'm almost being literal. Take care, everyone.